Hare Krishna, Ferdi Prabhu, thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Prashant.
Hare Krishna, Manpreet Mataji, Priyal Mataji, Himangi Mataji, Jagannath Prabhu. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Pranam. Thank you for joining. Mother Krishna Priya joined as well. Thank you. All right, we're going to get started in just a few seconds. Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you all very much for joining this evening as we continue our Nectar of Instruction series. So I'm just going to get started. Quite a few have already joined. You see Jack is also there. Jack Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Min Mataji Hari Bol. Thank you for joining. All right.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vanshi Prabhu, thank you for joining them. Pranam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome back everyone to our course, Applying the Nectar of Instruction in Modern Life. So over the next few weeks, we will continue to dive into each verse of this powerful guidebook, exploring how it applies in our lives, managing work and family, and the desire for deeper and deeper bhakti. This is our second session. Just a quick recap of session 1, which is about 6 urges to tolerate. Vacha vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udarapastha vegam. And anyone who can tolerate these 6 urges is qualified to make disciples all over the world. And we summarize what are practical applications. The urge to speak negative things. How can we address that? Is we want to pause before reacting. We want to use uplifting words, and we want to eliminate gossip from our lives. The urge of the tongue, jiva vegam. How do we control that? Well, we cook with devotion. Only take prasadam. We celebrate the fasting days, and we regulate our intake in terms of, fanciness. We should just be careful. And then udara vegam. It's about overeating in quantity. So portion awareness, routines, and spiritual digestion, where we focus on Krishna conscious activity after taking meals. Upastha vegam, the urges of the genitals, where we want to model dignity and respect in our life, guard the family, entertainment, and channels, and so on. Engage the youth early with mature discussions. Krodha vegam, the urges of anger. We want to create a habit of resetting instead of reacting, teaching our children emotional regulation, and also prasadam energy. It keeps us also in check in terms of the anger urge. And the urge of the mind, manovegam, where we want to limit our distractions, set boundaries, use spiritual methods for unwinding the mental stresses, like kirtans and so on. We want to anchor the day with the nice kirtan, family verse recitation, a little bit of puja, and an ongoing sense of inner surrender. So that's some practical tips that we discussed the last time on how we can regulate these urges and tolerate them. Today, The verse is number 2, guarding our soul. So after establishing in verse 1 the essential need to control the urges of the body and mind, which gives us the qualification to practice bhakti, this verse 2 shifts gears. Instead of immediately telling us what to do, Rupa Goswami surprises us, and he tells us what to avoid. Now, at first glance, this may feel a bit counterintuitive. Shouldn't we now start hearing about chanting and deity worship and sadhu sangha? But here lies Rupa Goswami's deep pedagogical genius. Guarding our soul, sealing the leaks of illusion and reclaiming time, energy, and identity. That's verse number 2. So let's say you're going on a trip to a sacred place, Vrindavan perhaps. Now, before you start packing your bags and buying your tickets, you get a critical advisory. Make sure you have a passport and your visa that's valid at least 6 months. Watch out for pickpockets. Don't take unlicensed taxis. Avoid drinking tap water. So these things, if you're not careful, can ruin your entire experience even before it starts. So this is exactly the function of verse number 2. It's a spiritual travel advisory. Rupa Goswami is saying basically, before you fill your life with devotional practices, know what will silently destroy them. So it's not about fear. It's about awareness and preparation. Pitfalls to avoid. So we'll dive right into the verse. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha Shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. Srila Prabhupada translates, one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. So, the 6 pitfalls to avoid: atyahar, overeating or over-collecting. Ati means too much, and ahar means intake. So intake could mean intake of money, resources, but generally it means also, generally the primary meaning is eating. So overeating, over-collecting. Prayas and prajalpa. So prayas refers to over-endeavoring, working excessively for things that are difficult to achieve or not essential. They're not essential in life, but we just run after them and spend all our time and energy. Prajalpa refers to speaking without purpose, purposeless or damaging speech, mundane gossip, mundane news that are completely irrelevant to our lives, social media scrolling, following where the celebrities are going, talking about all that. Meaningless, purposeless speech. Niyamagraha, this is a double one, double-edged sword. It's improper relationship with the rules. The rules have purpose. It's the spirit of the law. But we can approach this law or the regulations in the wrong way. So there are 2 extremes: rigid ritualism without heart, that's agraha, or lazy disregard of the rules, which is agraha. The niyama agraha contains both those extremes. Then there's Janasanga and Laulya. Janasanga refers to worldly association. In opening your heart to those not interested in bhakti. I mean, opening your heart, allowing yourself to be influenced. This impacts our values. It impacts our spiritual mood. Janasanga, to be avoided. And Laulya. Laulyam refers to material greed or fickleness of the mind, restlessness, because we want something more. We're always hankering. The fickleness and the greed that comes with that hankering. Greed for money, greed for enjoyment, even mystic abilities. Some people may not want money, but they know there's a way to get mystic abilities. Or greed for praise and recognition. All that comes under Laulyam. And if we run after these 6 things, they destroy our spiritual life. In today's world, 2 of our most limited and valuable resources are time, and the other one is energy. As working devotees, as parents, aspiring sadhakas, we must ask, are we using these 2 resources in a way that helps or hinders our progress toward Krishna? Atyahara prayasascha prajal punyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha shaddir bhaktir vinashyati. Vinash. Vinash means thoroughly destroys. Vinashyati. 6 things destroy your bhakti. It's not that they'll slow it down. They'll destroy it. They're like silent thieves of our time and energy. But they also impact one more thing, which is even more important. The first lesson in spirituality is that we are eternal spirit soul. We are that element that cannot be destroyed. Tat Tvamasi in the Chandogya Upanishad. We are that divine eternal spark that's full of cognizance and bliss. But as long as we identify with the body and the mind, of course, the material elements, bhakti cannot take deep root. Our real challenge isn't so much time management, but identity management. When our identity is properly oriented, time management takes care of itself. But until then, we have to really manage our time and our energy. We use our time and energy properly in order to make progress on the path of self-realization, to really understand what this Tat Tvamasi means. Not just theoretically, but actually acting on that platform. So most of us are overwhelmed by duties, the jobs, kids, community service. We do seva also in temple and other places. We do a lot of things. A lot of time we are convinced we're running out of time, but actually we're running into the illusion. We're still somehow convinced I'm this body. And so these 6 items, these 6 pitfalls, they rob us of all this. They not only waste our time and energy, they deepen our false identity as bodies, not souls. These self-defeating behaviors create a tenacious bond with a body that is very difficult to shake off. And this idea of reestablishing a vibrant connection with Krishna in our consciousness becomes impossible. The word uses vinashyati, completely destroys. So time, even one moment lost, can never be recovered. So use time wisely. Energy. In our conditioned state, our energy is limited. Spend it thoughtfully. And of course, our main goal is self-realization. Everything we choose to do affects our sense of self-identity. We may not realize it explicitly, but it does. So are we doubling down and reinvesting in this idea that I am this body, or are we trying to move away from that misconception? So we make loss in all these 3 critical areas if we continue with those behaviors. So let us do an overview of the pitfalls. atyahar, over collecting, overeating. The impact it has on us in terms of identity, it makes us think that we are what we own. We look around, see what I've acquired. Look at my house, look at my things, look at my clothes, look at my job. And then in order to kind of prove to our own selves that this is mine to enjoy, we tend to gobble up more and just eat and eat and eat. Over collecting, overeating, because we are getting more and more convinced that these things that I own define me. So it takes away this effort or this idea that this is mine, and overeating, it takes away our energy also. And it also reinforces the idea that I'm this body. Prayas refers to over-endeavoring. In modern terms, we can call it burnout, workaholism. There's alcoholics and there's workaholics. Alcoholics are addicted to just taking too much alcohol until they completely destroy their bodies and their consciousness. Workaholics, it's almost like an addiction where they end up burning out their bodies and their minds. But it's an addiction where they get a high out of proving to themselves, look what I can achieve. And it makes us think that our value, our intrinsic value as a person, is our quote unquote external success. And the more we subscribe to that, and if it's combined with the workaholism, we fall into the trap of prayas, over endeavoring. Prayas literally just means endeavor. Nothing wrong with endeavor. Over endeavoring is the problem. So atyahara prayasasya prajalpa. What does gossip and social media obsession and just talking nonsense, what does that do to us? What is the impact it has on, does it have on our identity? So when it inflates our false ego, and it centers our image on the body consciousness. We try to make ourselves feel better by pointing out other people's faults and then talking about them to somebody else, the third person. As if to say, you see how bad that person is? At least I don't have that bad quality. You see? That's a subtle implication. My God, that girl, she's just awful. Just look at how she dresses. Just look at how she talks to other people. Just look at how he does this. It makes us feel that, oh yeah, I'm cool. I don't have that flaw. We're not talking about ourselves, but we are talking about ourselves. And then when we gossip with somebody else, or if somebody gossips with us, should probably put a red flag that when we are not there, they might be gossiping about us. They might be gossiping as a habit. We don't know. So it creates a lot of damage, not just for us, but also in the circles that we work in. Prajalpa. Or we can go on social media and just argue there and gossip there. The same thing, useless talk that does nothing of value for our self-realization project. So it has to be avoided like the plague. Niyamagraha, it's two things: obsession with the rules or apathy for the rules. We talked about that earlier. We just do or follow the letter of the law, and we do the regulation and rules. We do all the things that we're supposed to do. But we don't understand the spirit of the law. Or we just disregard the rules altogether. It doesn't apply to me, or it's not pertinent for me. I'm already above this. I don't need to follow. So what that does, it keeps us on the surface behavior, keeps us from actually diving deep and connecting with Krishna. Pratyahara prayasa prajalpa niyamagraha. Then this idea of Janasanga. Janasanga is association which is disempowering spiritually. We want to associate, when we associate with somebody, and here the word association actually means come close enough so that we can be influenced, our heart gets moved in some way. And it disempowers our momentum, spiritual growth. It's hard enough for us to come out of this idea that I'm this body. We need to come out of that idea. But if we are associating with people who are either making a mockery, have no respect for the process of self-realization, and they have many other values, and they're able to articulate those values very nicely, the materialistic values, non-Krishna conscious values, it can disempower our momentum, our growth. And it mirrors back to us our bodily illusion. Because the persons we associate with, they're like mirrors, like crystals. They reflect back, and some of that color reflects back on us as well. So bad association needs to be given up. And then lolya we talked about, fickle spirituality or greed. Greed means just constantly meditating on more and more and more. And sometimes we justify that even as practitioners of spirituality. If I had more, so much more, I'll use in Krishna's service. But that could be bordering. We have to really check our motivations. It could be bordering on selfishness. It strengthens selfishness and the sense of cravings. And so that mood, that mindset, that line of thought needs to be given up and abandoned. Okay. So now coming back to atyahara and prayas, overeating, over-collecting, over-endeavoring. What exactly does the prefix over mean? Is it one size fits all? Is it 2,000 calories per day for everyone, regardless of size of body or what they do physically? Is it that a 40-hour work week is just perfect for everyone? The question is, how much is too much? Because we know there's such a thing as too much. Too much by definition means bad. That's the definition. Too much of anything is bad for you. It's true. By definition, too much exercise is bad for you. Too much nutritious things is bad for you, even if it's nutritious, but you can overdo it. So too much is bad. Yeah. But how much is too much? That's the question to apply. How do we judge that I've crossed the line? What is the principle behind it? So the key to understanding atyahara and prayas, the overaccumulation and over-endeavoring, lies in recognizing that bhakti is a path of inner consciousness, not external renunciation alone. It's not just external renunciation. Krishna says, the real renunciator is not one who lights no fire. You got to do what you got to do. The main thing is the consciousness. So too much is not measured by quantity. It's measured by conscious absorption. A big car, luxury car, may not be atyahar for a devotee who uses it to pick up 8 senior devotees, bring them to the temple regularly. But perhaps a second blender at home that's never used, that could be atyahar for someone else. Too much collection of things. Similarly, one devotee may be able to manage a 60-hour intense job and still chant 16 very good rounds with depth and steadiness. For another, 35 hours might be the breaking point. It varies from person to person. So what are the distinguishing factors? Distinguishing factors are eternal criteria over external standards. So instead of a rigid checklist, Rupa Goswami encourages introspective realism So here are 4 filters that we can think about. We can ask ourselves, is this particular endeavor or is this particular item serving my spiritual progress, or is it sabotaging it? A bigger living space may help host devotees and do vibrant sangha, or it may isolate us in pride and crush us in debt. Is it serving my purpose? We have to evaluate. 2, am I collecting out of genuine need, or is it based on fear and insecurity and status seeking? If I'm accumulating just to impress others, that's a red flag. Impress people, but we're not using it in Krishna's service. Third point, is this making me more Krishna conscious or more restless? The real luxury is peace of mind. If something increases our agitation, it is prayas. It's burning us out. Reevaluate. And fourth one is very important. Is my time and energy still being preserved for Shravanam Kirtanam, for hearing Krishna Katha, for chanting my japa nicely, for engaging in Kirtan and other devotional activities, serving my deities, peacefully offering, making cooking an offering and making it with love? Do I have enough peace of mind to even do something simple like that? If our lifestyle leaves us no room for chanting or reading or sangha, it's too much. We have to reevaluate and apply our intelligence to figure out practically what will bring us within the range of peace. So how to apply? Minimalism is not the goal. Bhakti is the goal. Don't renounce things if it makes you bitter, proud, or disconnected. Instead, aim for plain living and high thinking. Not no living and anxious thinking. Use everything for Krishna. Use what you need to be peaceful and productive in service. Your laptop, your car, your office, your degree, your phone, if used consciously, are not atyahara. They are 𝐼𝐞𝐥𝐿. You're using every resource to be more Krishna conscious and to encourage others to take up Krishna consciousness. And then we want to create a personal consumption sadhana. We evaluate ourselves, really ask the hard questions every month. What item or activity no longer nourishes my bhakti? You know, I think there's a very nice, popular way of cleaning out your house, Marie Kondo method. Does this object spark joy? So we can ask ourselves, does this object that I've been collected so many objects, does it spark bhakti in my life? If it doesn't, then let it go. There's no utility for it. Where am I spending excess money, energy, my bandwidth, my time? Is my simple life still leaving me space to love, to serve and remember Krishna? Bhagavatam urges that the bare necessities of life should be used while inquiring in absolute truth, right? Kamasya nendriya priti. Just keep the bare necessities so you have peace of mind. So how much is too much depends on the soul's true purpose, the mind's motivations, and the body's real needs, which are surprisingly few. You don't need to live like a forest hermit to be a sincere sadhaka in the modern world. But we do need to develop an internal alertness to the slippery slope of subtle materialism. You have to ask, does this help me remember who I am? Or does it reinforce the idea of who I am not? That single question will help you calibrate this atyahara and prayasa again and again, beautifully and personally. We have to constantly recalibrate. Because remember, when we're making progress, you will move towards simplicity and you'll feel lighter. When you travel light, you can travel far. You can travel quickly. Lighten the load and move faster and quicker along the long journey of bhakti. Prajalpa refers to mundane talk, gossip, hurtful sarcasm, excessive debate, social media rants. It wastes our time and energy, deepens our body illusion. We want validation, so we put others down. We gossip to protect our false self-image. And it has the toxic effect of eroding trust in the community and creating grave offenses. This is not just something comedic, is gossip. Gossip can bring down an entire community that was loving and caring before. In a matter of months or a few years, it just crumbles. People who used to love each other and embracing and being selfless are now hating each other so much just because they couldn't resist talking bad about each other behind. So it's not just harmless talk. It is the verbal armor of our false ego. It protects our false ego. It's the echo chamber of the ego. Every word we speak about others feeds our illusion of superiority or insecurity. So how can we get around this? Speak, of course, by all means, but speak something that will improve your consciousness. Krishna Katha, gratitude, genuine encouragement, sincere appreciation. Think twice before you speak. Ask yourself, will this conversation nourish the soul? Or will my choice of words feed the false ego? You know, we know what to say, what not to say. This is not that difficult. The hard part is doing it. You just have to do it. Rupa Goswami puts this framework for us so it's easy to remember, easy to evaluate. 6 things. Don't do these 6 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just know them very well. These are pitfalls. You won't get very far in your bhakti if you're still engaging in these. Niyamagraha. I've shared this picture before. Niyamagraha. Hollow ritual or casual neglect. It's hollow ritualism, blind ritualism, or disregard. So we either obsess over form with no feeling or neglect the form and slide into Maya. It deepens the body illusion as well, yes, because we treat bhakti like a to-do list rather than a transformation of heart, rather than a connection with the Supreme Lord Krishna, a heartfelt connection. It becomes something so superficial. This fellow, he said, yeah, I'm wearing my hard hat. You know? And it's right on my head like it says. But does it do the job that it's supposed to do? It's just unnecessary burden now. So following the rule the wrong way like this or with disregard is as bad as not following the rule. You have to follow the rule. You have to understand the point of it. You have to do it properly with the right consciousness. Hollow ritualism becomes a way to feel spiritual without actually changing. And you know what? Our mind is so conditioned, it's very resistant to change. And mind revels, the conditioned mind revels in hollow ritualism, loves it because it perpetuates the illusion. And the mind feels safe, the conditioned mind. The conditioned mind is afraid that you'll become Krishna conscious. And so the conditioned mind convinces us that, no, we're making progress because we're following all the rules, but we do it in a hollow way. Even our chanting can be done that way. When we offer our agarbatti or lamp to the Lord, it's done that way. We could do it with love. We could do it without love. The amount of time is the same. It takes the same amount of time to chant your rounds with love as it does without love. You're not saving any time by doing a poor job of it. Do it with connection. Understand what the ritual is about. Otherwise, you'll miss the spiritual and just get the empty ritual. How do we do it? How do we spiritualize? So the mind loves niyamagraha because it keeps us in control. But bhakti begins when we surrender. It's like wearing a fitness tracker. You know, they have this fitness tracker, Fitbit, things like that. You have a fitness tracker, but you never exercise. They say I'm wearing one, but the wearing one doesn't help. Or getting a treadmill, but just using it to hang your clothes on it. But I have a treadmill. That doesn't mean that it's going to work if you don't actually use it. So remember, the purpose of the rules is to connect with Krishna. You have a schedule. Don't worship the schedule. Worship Krishna through the schedule. You see. So how do we do it? We renew our intention. This is called sankalpa. Renew the sankalpa before any ritual, before bowing down. I do this to love and serve Krishna, you can say. Every single time you bow down, you tell yourself, this is what I'm doing it for. You don't want to use rituals as a shield from growth, nor neglect them in the name of freedom. You should understand the rules, follow them strictly, but when we are following them, connect the heart. For example, even our children, we ask the children, why do you offer our food to the Lord? Discuss these things. Keep the inner meanings alive. See, if we cannot answer the questions of our children, we will lose them. We lose our next generation. So we should know the answers ourselves, but not just know the answers. We should actually connect our heart when we bow down to the Lord. And of all the rules and regulations, there's only two that really matter. All the other rules and regulations, the servant of the two. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. Smartavya satadam Vishnu, vismartavyo najata chit, sarve vidini shedasyur, etayoreva kinkara. So if it doesn't connect us with Krishna, if it doesn't produce rati, attraction, affection for Krishna, then it is just useless labor. Na utpaded yadi ratim, shrama eva hi kevalam. It's just useless labor. So connect. Intentionality before any ritual. Okay, and remind ourselves. And if we set an example for our children, it'll make us naturally good at it. Children are a gift from the Lord. Or anybody who looks up to us, they're a gift from the Lord because it's an opportunity to be better ourselves. Okay, that's niyamagraha. Now we move on to janasanga, worldly minded association. It's company of those who are obsessed with enjoyment, prestige, or speculation. Things that really turn away from Krishna. Their energy bleeds into ours, diluting our convictions, priorities, and schedule. It deepens the bodily illusion. We associate with those who affirm this illusion when we are in bad association. You know, we convince ourselves, you are your job. You need this thing to be happy. You know, when we're spending daily time with media influencers, or binge watchers, or gossipers, or skeptics, that's janasanga. Sangha has an important aspect of opening our heart to someone and being influenced by them at an emotional level. It's very subtle and it's very powerful. The more subtle something is, the more powerful it is, because a subtle thing can really penetrate the depths of our heart. It can attract us to the wrong things. The people around us don't just influence us, they define us. If you want to know who someone is, you just see who their friends are, who they hang out with most. That's who they are. They define us, the people who are with. So we have to be very careful. Of course, this doesn't mean that, you know, we don't interact with people at work. We don't ask the ladies at the bus stop what time the next bus is coming. No, no, no. We interact. We do what's necessary to function in the world. But we don't need to open our hearts to them. We don't need to be influenced by them. Just need to use our intelligence. So what are the solutions? Solution to Jana Sangha is Satsanga, proper Sangha. Take every practical opportunity to participate in kirtan and progressive devotional classes. Prioritize Satsanga, even virtually. Encourage and empower the children and the youth. Now, for those in your life who are close with, or you come in touch with, say at work or just friend circles, but if they're not the devotees, right, then you be the light. You be the association. Don't let them dim your light. In other words, you be the influencer. You don't have to be the influenced when we're in those circles. And there's many ways we can be influencers, just by our behavior, the way we speak, the way we behave. Share some prasadam, share something uplifting, something positive, something sattvic. And another way is to create an environment in our home. Have home programs, invite devotee families that you trust into your home on a regular basis. Some have a little prasadam, have a little kirtan. Satsanga is the antidote for Jana Sangha. Sadhu Sangha is the antidote for Jana Sangha. So the more we give, remember, we are not going to be hermits. Very few people are going to live solo. Okay, solitude can be good for a spiritual life, but it can also be very quick in degrading us. So better to have Sangha that's going to uplift us. Okay, then we'll talk next about Lolya. It's the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. He says, there is no calamity greater than lavish desires. There is no greater guilt than discontentment. And there is no greater disaster than greed. No greater disaster. Because greed is a very subtle, strong thing that's a hankering that doesn't go away. In our spare moments, it comes and grabs us again. It wastes our time and energy, wastes our mental energy and focus. Always chasing the next thing. New projects, new teachers, new practices, new ways of making money, new ways of, just getting more and more. It deepens the body illusion because this idea of I need more implies that I'm not enough unless I acquire or consume more. I'm constantly consuming more. Greed is that hungry ghost that eats everything, including your inner peace. This costs us our peace of mind. So what is the antidote for that? Meditate on contentment. Reflect, I have Krishna, what more do I need? Choose one lineage, Prabhupada's lineage, one sadhana, one service mission, and go deep. One spiritual program, go deep. And teach children a sense of contentment by always highlighting gratitude. Model gratitude. Thank Krishna for everything. Thank the children for everything, for what they do. Thank each other in front of the children and remain contented. Why should we disturb the calm lake of peace in our heart by allowing greed to disturb the whole thing and just make a mess of it? Cannot be happy without peace. Ashantasya kuta sukham. There's no happiness without peace. So just to summarize the applications, Atyahar, what does it do? It reinforces this illusion, I am what I have. And what's the soul awakening alternative? Simplicity and trust. Trust Krishna. It's enough. And simplify our lives. Prayas. I am what I achieve. I achieve all these things. Look at me. I'm so great. No, that's an illusion. The alternative is let's work hard, sure, but it's a contented diligence. Be diligent with the underlying sense of contentment. This is for Krishna, and Krishna is taking care of me. Not saying you stop being diligent. Diligence is sattvic, but a mad rush for more and more is destructive. Prajalpa, I am how others see me, so let me talk nonsense. No, meaningful speech for upliftment, something Krishna conscious, something that moves me further in Krishna consciousness. Niyamagraha, I am the ritual I perform or neglect. What's the alternative? The uplifting alternative is connect the heart. Remember, you're doing it for Krishna, and do it with sincere devotion. Don't do anything external without reminding ourselves, my Lord, I'm doing it for you. My dear mind, don't forget this. This is for Krishna. And Jana Sangha, it reinforces that me mirror the world. We don't need to mirror the world. The world is an illusion. Let us associate with progressive souls that are seeking the truth. We know who they are. We know how to identify them. Let's hang out with them. And Lolly agreed. This idea, I need more and more to be whole. No, no, no. Let's be steady. Let's be content in our Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said it best. Don't talk nonsense. Don't waste time. If you've got time, chant Hare Krishna. How much simpler do you want? Right? So we reflect. Every day we should reflect. Oh no. Crashed again. Okay. Said this before. So every day we should reflect. We are not these bundles of cravings. We are eternal spiritual sparks of the Lord. That's the reflection. A bit of a technical crash here. Happens sometimes. Let's see if my reflection works again. These 6 things, they're not just distractions. They're deceptions. Hope it's working. We are beings of eternal loving service. You know, these bundles of cravings. And these deceptions, they bind us to false ego and rob us of our true birthright to know and love Krishna fully. So let us use this framework of Rupa Goswami's to protect our time, safeguard our energy, and reclaim our identity as eternal, blissful, Krishna conscious souls. So thank you very much for your valuable time and your kind attention. Hare Krishna. So if anyone has any questions or comments or reflections on this, you can raise your hand. I can unmute if you like. Okay, so we have quite a good turnout, right? You should be able to raise your hand or unmute if you like. Yes, Shyam Gopal Prabhu, go ahead. Let's see.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I am again the first one to ask question. It's like a mundane question, but so this all these things, there is a particular line, right, where we should not cross in a way, and that line depends on each individual, depending on his ability. Is it something which is can be easily understood? Because some people do not understand what the line is, and then they just over endure into it. And we see that is happening nowadays. Like so many people are depressed, even when they achieve so much in their life. Like as compared to like someone of their age, if they compare to others, they may be like in top 10% or maybe less than that, right? So in this case, we are the conditioned soul which are in this particular material world, which are covered by avidya, right? And then it on the top of that again we are covered by ahankar, which is ego. So in this state, when you are these things which are there 6, like finding the line, finding your like okay, easily you can do this and that also. how to do that. And even if you draw the line and if you are doing 16 rounds, some by hook and crook, that is still offense, right? Means it's not something which is like you should find a time for that. And how do you reconcile these things in this world?
Sure, yes. Thank you for your question. So you did mention the 16 rounds and all that, and it is possible to do the 16 rounds in a disconnected way. However, because one is making an endeavor to do the 16 rounds, to chant Krishna's name, there'll be some very powerful effect. You won't get the full effect, but you'll get a lot of effect. So even if someone does it without connection, it's way better than 0 rounds. That's one thing to keep in mind, because even that superficial has some little bit effect. Something may go through. So that's one thing. But where do you draw the line? For example, atyahara and prayas, that's really the thing. So the measuring stick, like we talked about, the measuring stick of drawing that line, it'll vary from person to person. And it'll also vary for a person depending on their stage of life or the stage of progress in Krishna consciousness. Like for someone to have a particular degree of luxury, a particular level of lifestyle in the beginning state of Krishna consciousness, may differ. Now, when they become more advanced, they'll say, I don't need so much. They'll automatically voluntarily kind of lower their so-called external standard of living, just for simplicity's sake. So even for a person, that'll vary depending on their progress. Where do you draw the line on atyahara and prayas? It is the bhakti, not the asceticism, not the wealth, not the effort in and of itself. Right? What is acceptable? Does it meet the basic bodily, family, service needs with integrity, dignity? Does it save your time for sadhana? Sometimes it's good to have a car. Of course, if you have a bicycle, but you don't go to the temple very frequently, the bicycle takes you 1 hour, the car, it takes you 10 minutes. Get a car if you can afford it. What is problematic is when you own out of insecurity or vanity or just to keep up appearances. We're constantly browsing, trying to upgrade, impulse buying, out of restlessness or boredom. Because a lot of these things, they have a law of diminishing returns. When you have a certain baseline, you try to do much more than that, you don't get that much more out of it, you see. So that's where you draw the line on atyahara and prayas. See, main thing in prayas, overworking, for example, if you find yourself is sacrificing your spiritual standards for the career or for money, then it's problematic. If you take on excessive commitments that leave no space for reflection or chanting, then it's problematic. If it's striving for status or some outcomes that are beyond one's capacity, that's problematic. It's a short life we have to live. So the more we reflect philosophically and more we can convince the devotees we're talking with, these things get a little bit clearer. And then you have to apply their intelligence. Or if they're having a hard time, then they may want to find someone they can trust who can apply some intelligence from their experience and take their advice and just follow that advice. That also works. Especially someone who's lived through these things, they've gone through these stages, they've experienced a lot of things, they've raised children, for example, or they've had careers in their lives, they've got stayed married and so on and so forth. They've gone through the same things we're trying to go through. We can ask them. Their advice is very valuable. So thank you. It's a good question. Not very straightforward answers, but we can try to be as intelligent as we can. Thank you. Min. Yes, thank you. Go ahead, Min.
Thank you so much. It was such a great lecture. Just made things very clear, and I got this sense hearing you that, wow, this could actually change my life for the better. So I have a very basic question, I think. Even though I heard these in a way that I know they'll be helpful, but I imagine how they come about, how they surface these problems in our lives, like you mentioned many times. they can be very subtle, and we may not even recognize what we're really falling into, because they could come as very subtle forms. For instance, Pajalpa, maybe I won't recognize that that's what I'm involving myself in. And then I find myself in a situation where it could feel that way, or that I recognize it, maybe when I return home or something like that. And there are 6 of them here, but they seem quite, in some ways, like a large task to tackle. What do you recommend that we do to actually carry these instructions out and actually practice them? Like, should I print out a list? Actually, you gave us a list with the definitions and I think I'm just answering my own question by asking this. But anything else?
Oh yeah, there's many things. It's a great question. Because remember, our progress in bhakti, you'll notice it's almost like, if I were to give an analogy, it's like going up a spiral staircase, and as you're going up a spiral staircase, there's windows on the wall. So you pass the same window. It seems like the same window, but you're looking through another window. It looks like the same window, but you've gone a little bit higher. So you see the same problem, you're running the same issues, but you have a little bit more perspective now. You can see a better view out the window because you've moved a little higher, but the same issues come. So like, for example, you've overcome gross prajalpa. You don't say bad words anymore. You don't talk nonsense with people, but now maybe there's very subtle forms of it. How do we know this creeping in? That maybe a very, very, passive aggressive kind of gossiping that, really just slides right under there in what's acceptable, right? It's hard because now it's subtle and it's harder to identify the subtle. So prajalpa isn't just talking nonsense in the crude sense. It's any speech that distracts the mind from Krishna, any speech that feeds the false ego, any speech that wastes our time and reinforces bodily identity. Like, if it neither glorifies Krishna nor serves a meaningful purpose in devotion or upliftment, that's prajalpa. Let me give you some examples now. You're asking for some advanced stuff, so I'll give you some advanced examples.
Because I recognize that, I think it is possible to involve myself in prajalpa even when speaking seemingly spiritual things.
Let me give you some examples. Maybe you might find this startling. But for example, ego pad in your conversation. Let me tell you how much service I did today. It could be cloaked self-praise that feeds our false identity. It could be. Maybe it's not, but it could be something to watch out for. Or devotee gossip. I am just concerned. Did you hear what he did? Even if it's cloaked in concern, it may be beyond our area of influence. It's not our area. Criticize others. Sometimes there's speculative discussions that may unroot us from Shastra, stirs the mind without nourishing it. Frivolous things. Or service comparison. My group is more organized than their group. Or pointless banter, just long chats on politics and drama going on. It's time lost that could have been used in kirtan or reflection or resting. Kirtan, reflection, rest. And then everything else, bare minimum work to survive. If you use that as your guidelines, then we won't waste so much time talking about so much politics. Yeah, politics, okay, mention, okay, what's going on? Who's the president right now? Okay, that's fine. Just so you don't look like you're totally out of the loop. You don't need to go so deep into all these things. It's all this. There's nothing new under the sun. So like that, there's a lot of possibilities where we can slip. But we may not be there yet, and that's fine. We're still walking up the staircase. Maybe that window we're talking about right now is still 5 stories up. That's fine. Let's focus where we are. Make progress every day, until we get purer and purer, and the mirror really shines with Krishna consciousness. Another way is writing a journal of self-reflection. When you write, your reflections, and while you're writing, try to analyze what you did today. Your intelligence come up with solutions, and also identify subtle things. And if you're not into writing, that's fine too. You can read from very progressive authors who write deeply. I can suggest Dāsa Goswami Maharaj. He's written like 200 books, and many of them are the same, finding the authentic self, looking for the subtle prajalpas and how the day went and how it could have been better. It's amazing. Even reading advanced devotees' writings give us idea how to meet that window when we get there. It's really nice. So, I mean, there's no shortage of reading. You can see just the books behind you. It's quite a collection. Jack's library is outstanding. So, but these are some suggestions I can give. Thank you, man. It's a great question. Yes, Vamshi Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It's a wonderful class. Thank you. So I just remembered the Laulyam, the last niyama, the rule that we should not. So there is one other place just reminded me that the Rupa Goswami recommends Laulyam, and that is the quote that in the last month's Back to Godhead magazine, Prabhupada's lecture has, Atra Laulyam api Mulyam Ekalam. So you must show the greed to obtain it, which is the price you pay to obtain the Krishna consciousness or Krishna is to show the greed. So that's where he uses the same word, the laulyam. So there must be spiritual greed and the material greed, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a very good point. Thank you for bringing it up, because the word is greed. And here in this list, it's just greed, the way it's listed, right? It doesn't have any purport in it. It's just part of a list of 6 and just one word that stands by itself, laulyam. And then another verse, it says, the only price to making spiritual progress, to getting love of God, it is laulyam, the same word. It's all you need is greed. So wait a minute. I thought in one sense it's vinashyati, bhakti is going to destroy my bhakti. And now you're saying laulyam is all you need, right? So of course we know the context, isn't it? It means greed or intense longing. It's like a double-edged sword. It binds us to illusion or liberate us into pure love of Krishna, depending on where the energy is directed, right? So we know material laulyam is greed for possessions or praise or pleasures or novelties. And the outcome of that is keeps us trapped in this bodily illusion. Spiritual laulyam, on the other hand, is intense longing for service of Krishna or the presence of Krishna in our heart or his mercy that we may progress. It awakens pure bhakti, reveals our true self. So in the Nectar of Instruction, verse number 2, it's in the list of 60 stars of bhakti. We talked about that. The positive spirit, soul-based laulyam is a desperate, humble craving for a glimpse of Krishna's beautiful smile, a taste of his vibrant holy name, the privilege of serving him with a pure heart, or a moment in the dust of a pure devotee's lotus feet. This laulyam burns away the bodily illusion because it centers our identity as servants of Krishna, not consumers of this world. See? So destructive laulyam is, I want more from me. And devotional laulyam is, I want Krishna for Krishna, so I can serve Krishna. Destructive laulyam results in restlessness. Devotional laulyam results in purification. Destructive laulyam is based on ego and insecurity. And devotional laulyam is based on surrender and humility. Destructive laulyam is motivated by lack or a feeling of missing something, lacking something. Devotional laulyam is motivated by love. See, so of course, it's not that difficult to discern. It leads to more japa, more service, more humility. Then it's the right kind of laulyam. It leads to anxiety, envy, inconsistency, and neglect. Then it's material laulyam. So yes, greed is good, but not the other kind of greed. It's a great question, Vamshi Prabhu. It brings a lot of poetry into this discussion. Hare Krishna. All right. Very nice questions coming up. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna ji, please accept my obeisances.
Hare Krishna. Sundamani Mataji.
Beautiful lecture. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. But when you say, can you define truth, Prabhu? Because sometimes, yes, we have to, like, the absolute truth is, Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in our day-to-day applications, in the name of truth, sometimes some people can be a little harsh. And how does that work? Like, I get a little confused when folks who behave like that, what do we say? Is that like fault finding? Is that to say, because that's a thin line, right, Prabhuji? So how do we deal with even devotees or non-devotees, anybody?
Yes. Truth. Truth does not have to equal harshness. Just because of saying something true doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way to do it. It reminds me of a joke that this person is saying, my New Year's resolution is not to speak something that I end up putting my foot in my mouth. I bet your New Year's resolution is to lose weight, huh? So it's true, but it's not nice. Now in Bhagavad Gita, we learn anudvega karam vakyam satyam priya hitam chayat. Speech should be truthful and pleasing and beneficial and not agitating to others. That's what should accompany truth. Is it pleasing? Is it beneficial? Are you saying it in a pleasing way? Are you saying it in a way that's not agitating to others? Because, hey, it's the truth, man. And then you say it in the worst possible hurtful way. So truth does not have to mean harshness. Truth means clarity, kindness, timing, and tact. That's the full truth. Speak to help, not to hurt. Before you speak, ask, am I saying this to purify, uplift, or just to vent? Even painful truths can heal if your intention is care, not dominance or asserting yourself. When we speak the truth or when we speak something, we focus on behavior, not on the identity. Like, for example, you don't say, oh, you're just so careless and irresponsible. So now you create an identity for that person. That's who you are. No, you can say, that task was left undone and it's caused some concern. Can we look at it together? Say you're a manager, right? You don't want to tell the person under you, you are careless and irresponsible. You talk about the task. You talk about the behavior. Don't talk about, make that identity, that person's identity. Separate the person from the action. Allow correction without humiliation. You see, that's truth. It's also truth. Both are true. But one is hurtful. One is insulting. You can crush, you don't know whose heart you're crushing by telling the truth in a bad way. That person could be on the brink of leaving the world because of the way, life has thrown pain at them. And we might end up being that one person who's pushed them over the edge or saved their life by being nice to them. Both are true. Choose the right time, choose the right tone. Even perfect words, if they're poorly timed, can be rejected in a wrong tone. Tone is the music of truth. Play it like a raga. Don't play it like Ravan. See? So truth has to be given like that. And truth and humility becomes very powerful communication. When you speak the truth of the mood that I'm also learning with you, it builds a connection instead of defensiveness. Instead of saying, you're wrong, you say, from what I understand so far, this may not align with our principles. Perhaps we can explore it together. It's the same thing. See? Even when Prabhupada, when he said sometimes fools and rascals, and even when he called devotees fools and rascals, the devotees felt loved and awakened, not hated, because his words were coming from a place of love. They're not coming from ego. They're coming from Krishna's lotus feet. And the devotees felt it. It was endearing. They couldn't wait to be called a rascal. It was so nice. Of course, it would make them shake them up a bit, but they remember that like it was the sweetest thing in their whole life. I'm not saying you start saying rascal and all. Prabhupada could pull it off. We may not be able to do that. But can we saturate our heart with that intentionality so that everything we say comes out as an uplifting thing? Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it the right time? Will this help bring them closer to Krishna? Then it's the whole truth. Does that help, Mataji? It's this is a big subject, actually. We can go on for hours.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That was very well said. Thank you so much. I took some notes there. Thank you.
Okay, Lakshmi Mataji, Haribol, thank you for joining.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. I have a question about Jana Sangha. So like in my Krishna consciousness path, I'm slowly trying, to become Krishna conscious. And, within my, like I call my spiritual family, my satsang group, I feel alive. I feel like connection. But with, like sometimes in other groups, there's no connection and I feel a disconnect. And I feel like sometimes I can't even carry on a conversation because, the other people are not as Krishna conscious and not, not enthused to, like talk about anything Krishna conscious. No. So sometimes I feel, like lonely or, feel a disconnect, even within some people who I feel I'm close to, who I'm supposed to be close to, but you don't have that Krishna connection with them. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a very real question that I don't know anybody who hasn't been affected by it, really. I think all of us are affected by this scenario. It's pretty much the most common scenario. It's a personal, spiritually significant question. Let's see. So what you're experiencing is not a fault, of course. It's a sign that your heart is beginning to turn more and more deep in Krishna consciousness. The old sources of stimulation, they don't satisfy soul. So you don't feel connected. What you're feeling is part of growth. And just like when a seedling is pushing away the soil that it was born into to grow toward the sun. So a devotee gradually feels out of place in the world of forgetfulness of Krishna. You're not becoming antisocial, you're becoming soul conscious. So that is positive. Now, of course, this nectar of instruction, this verse warns us against Jana Sangha, unnecessary association. But how do we deal with it practically? We don't want to force a normal conversation. We can channel it instead. If small talk feels empty, you can talk about food, you can channel it to prasadam. If you're talking about some relationships, you can channel it to deeper values. If someone is talking about news, you can somehow connect it to timeless wisdom that maybe connect to the topic you're talking about, And sometimes there's one mention that chanting makes me peaceful. Because say with your family or with friends, it may be okay to talk about, it may not be. But it's hard to remain connected, I totally understand. And we feel that, okay, we still need to have some conversations. And it's possible to develop the skill to continue having conversations. We don't need to preach at them. We can live the preaching by being happy and being content. We don't have to be necessarily uncomfortable there. We can just be at peace. Sometimes that sense of discomfort and being out of place is natural. We feel awkward. But gradually, as you spend more time in connecting with Krishna in the heart, that also goes away. And then your contentment and your joy in Krishna will become more visible to them. They may not be able to feel it. They may not become devotees right away, but it will be contagious. Some rubbing off will happen. See? And of course, you're already seeking so much sadhu sangha. You're plugging into the sangha. You're coming, connecting here. You come to our gatherings. You go to the temple. You're reading. You're studying Bhakti Shastri. So all these things are keeping your inner fire alive. It's good to have one or two deep devotee friends, at least one, who can nourish your garden, inner garden. They can open up to. I'm sure you have some devotees like that. If not, it's good to find devotees, but make sure that sangha is truly meaningful and deep. This is what happens. You will never feel lonely. Prabhupada said I was never lonely because I felt my presence of my spiritual master wherever I was. And then even when devotees, his disciple, right, Prabhupada is kind of alone here, I'm feeling lonely. He says, no, don't think that. I'm always there with you, and Krishna is there with you. And then he'll give his example. I never felt lonely because I felt my spiritual master with me. So the sense of loneliness will go away, So just a few final words I can offer is protect your enthusiasm. It's like a sacred fuel. And that is going to be the first opening word of the next verse that we're going to cover with enthusiasm, utsaha. Respect others. But don't reduce your light to fit in. Don't use the dimmer to dim your light to try to fit in. You see, no need to do that. And seek deeper connection, not shallow belonging. You don't belong in this world, you belong to Krishna's eternal family. So you'll never be lonely. You have your spiritual masters with you, the whole lineage there. And you have your devotee friends with you. They may not be there at that particular time, but they're there with you in heart. And you have all your knowledge, and you have Krishna in your heart. So always keep reflecting on that. And things will get better. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, my dear devotees, for joining again today and for your kind attention. It means a lot. I know you've come in all kinds of time zones, and you spent an hour and a half almost with us. So I look forward to seeing all of you again next Tuesday as we do verse number 3. 6 things that will ensure complete success of our Krishna consciousness. So today was 6 things that we want to avoid so that we don't destroy our Krishna consciousness. And now we'll full steam ahead, move on, explore this incredible book, Nectar of Instruction. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranam.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, Prabhu.
Krishna ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.